Good morning, everybody. I hope we are all having a really good day. Today's video is just a really average day in my kitchen. I think a lot of people have the preconceived notion that when you're homesteading or you're cooking a lot from scratch, whatever you want to call it, that you have to spend hours a day in the kitchen. And I want to show you guys that that's not the case. I talk about it all the time because I think it's really important to know that the average person can do this in small increments of time. So we're starting off by making some very basic banana bread. I can link this recipe down below for you guys. Super simple, but I had some bananas that needed to be used up. We have a ton of bananas in the freezer right now, so I didn't want to put those in there, so I decided let's just go ahead and make a loaf of banana bread right away. My kids have a 4-day weekend this weekend, so as of today, it's their last day of school, like the day you're watching this video. So I wanted to prep some banana bread to get ahead for that. We're also going to go ahead and make some coffee creamer because I make my coffee creamer from scratch now. I've been doing it for the entire year thus far, and I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. It's very simple to do. I have the recipe up on the screen for you guys if you're curious, but I've been making this a long time now, and I just kind of throw everything together in the pot, and you just gotta let it simmer. Let it all come together, let all that brown sugar dissolve. You're gonna see me here. I'm putting in some of this caramel that we made in a previous video together. If you wanna know how to do that, if I could find the video, I'll link it down below. But very, very simple. You just put some condensed milk in your mason jars, put them in your crock pot, fill your crock pot up with water, turn it on low for about 8 hours, and you'll have these beautiful caramels. They are not shelf stable. Your jars will seal, but they just need to be stored in the refrigerator. And from what I've read, people who have done this said that these caramels have lasted like up to 2 or 3 years in the refrigerator. And I've had mine in there since December, and they're all still perfect. Once the coffee creamer comes together, I just pour it in a regular mason jar and store it in the fridge for about a week or two, depending on how much I'm drinking coffee that week. The next thing I wanted to do was go ahead and get some dinner prepped for the crock pot. This is something that was not on my meal plan, but sometimes I realize that I have all the ingredients for a recipe and I just go with it. So today we're making boiled dinner. And boiled dinner is basically just potatoes, carrots, ham, some cabbage, and you basically boil it. You can do it in your crock pot, you can do it on the stove, and you boil it in chicken broth with like some bay leaves and some spices if you want, and it is delicious, you guys. I love boiled dinner. I could eat it once a week, but not everybody in my household is a huge fan of boiled dinner, so I don't make it that often. Today we're making it in the crock pot. I talked about in my meal plan video how we've been doing crock pot meals about once a week, and I'm loving it, absolutely loving it. I'm putting these potatoes in that measuring container there so that I can scrub them and wash them. I like to do that after they're diced. It's easier for me that way, so I'm not going to put dirty potatoes in my crock pot. I know I'll get comments if I don't talk about it, so don't worry, the potatoes are going to be thoroughly washed before putting in the crock pot. That's what we're doing right now. So during my meal plans, we were talking about how I rediscovered my love for my crock pot. Back in my Fort Drum days, I used to do a crock pot meal religiously every single Saturday. I'd put the crock pot meal in, and then I would deep clean my entire house while my two, at the time, toddlers would trot behind me or crawl behind me, and we would just go through the whole house and clean. It was like my Saturday ritual. And I'm getting back into the habit of loving my crock pot, and I've been doing crock pot meals about once or twice a week. If not doing a whole meal in my crock pot like you're seeing here, I have been using it for my prep, so putting like my meat in there and putting all my ground beef in there and letting all that happen. So I've just rediscovered the love for my crock pot. Once my coffee creamer has kind of dissolved all that sugar like we've talked about, I just put it in my mason jar. Your mason jar is going to be hot, so be careful when you pick it up. But then I just kind of pick it up by the rim there, and I set it on the counter and let it cool for a little while before I put a lid and a ring on it, and I just store that in the refrigerator like we talked about. I also wanted to go ahead and make some vanilla pudding. I've been seeing a ton on Instagram lately of people making pudding from scratch, so I am going to start doing that. My kids love pudding, and I'm going to invest in some small glass mason jars to be able to make them their own little snack packs for their lunch boxes and things like that. So for now, I'm using the packaged vanilla pudding mix. 3 cups milk, dump in the pudding mix, and you just kind of let it go on the stove for a while, about 3 minutes, I think is what the package said, and then you store it in a container in the refrigerator, and my kids, once again, can have this during their long weekend as just like a fun treat or a fun snack to have. And it's really that simple. I just dump them in this really big Pyrex container that we got from Sam's Club recently, and we are loving. Next time we go to Sam's Club, we are going to pick up another set of these. We're obsessed with them. They're really great, and we're using them all of the time. So we are going to switch over to glass containers instead of the plastic Tupperware. The last thing I had to do was go ahead and chop up my ham slices here. This ham that we're slicing up is actually leftover Christmas ham. Once Christmas was over and the ham was still not eaten, we always will take the time, my husband and I, he will slice it up. I open up the Ziploc bags and we package them in meal-sized portions in our Ziploc bags. We dump in a little bit of the ham broth that ends up happening in the bottom of the crock pot that we cook the ham in, and then we have ham slices or ham chunks or whatever we want for upcoming meals for the next couple of months from the Christmas ham. It's one of my absolute favorite ways to quote unquote meal prep, is to just take leftovers and freeze them, and we use them for later. Just cook in bulk, even if it is just roasting a whole ham or roasting a whole turkey, roasting a couple whole chickens, whatever it is. It's one of my favorite ways to put leftovers in the freezer. So we are just chopping this up. We put this ham in scalloped potatoes, in soups like bean and bacon soup, split peas soup, whatever it is we're doing. Sometimes I'll use this ham and throw it in breakfast burritos. We throw it in eggs in the morning, in baked egg casseroles, all the things. So we're just going to slice this up, and this is going to end up going in our boiled dinner as our protein. And all I had to do was take it out of the freezer and chop it up and throw it in the soup. There was no cooking involved here, and once again, just giving myself a little bit of a break from all of the from scratch cooking. I also had some leftover dinner rolls that Colt and I had made the day before for dinner. I'm just picking up the cherries and the pineapples with that came in with this ham. I don't want the cherries and the pineapples in my soup, so I'm going to pick those aside, put those in my chicken scraps, and then dump all of this deliciously diced ham and all of the juice. That's very important. All of the juice that was in the Ziploc bag and ended up on the cutting board, I'm going to slide all of that into my boiled dinner as well, because that is delicious flavor. Another thing that I grew and preserved for the first time last year was cabbage. I have never done that before, and I am loving it. Cabbage is going to have a permanent home in my garden from now on. I blanched the cabbage. I did that in a video with you guys. We shredded it, blanched it, and put it in Ziploc bags of different sizes, and it has been one of my favorite additives. I love cabbage. I add it in our soups like you're seeing here. I also love to do buttered cabbage as a side with most dinners. I just put it in a pan or a pot with a little bit of water, kind of bring it back to life, warm it back up, put a little bit of butter, some salt and some pepper on it, and it is a delicious side. Now, I don't need a lot of cabbage that way because my family does not share my love of cabbage like I do, but I can definitely eat through some cabbage. When I have family members that come over, they also love buttered cabbage, so it acts as a really fun little side, but I just put that in the soup and let the soup go, and that's really it. Our soup is essentially done at this point, and we're just waiting for dinner time to come and eat it. Now, because I know my audience of who I feed, I wanted to pair this boiled dinner with some grilled cheese sandwiches. It's not very often that I will make quote unquote special meals or different meals for my household, but 3 of us ate the boiled dinner with dinner rolls, and then the other 2 ended up having grilled cheese and tomato soup. So it just kind of depends on, I knew going into it boiled dinner is not a favorite with some of the people in my household, so I always kind of come up with an alternative solution. I knew that I was going to make grilled cheese anyway. A lot of us ended up eating like at least half of a grilled cheese or something like that with our boiled dinner anyways. So I just made a bunch of grilled cheese sandwiches. Whoever wanted a grilled cheese sandwich was more than welcome to have one. If you have been following me on Instagram, you know that my husband has been bringing home a ton of discount cheese recently from a job that he is currently working, and we have been loving it. So our discount cheddar cheese is what's going on these grilled cheese sandwiches tonight. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, I would highly recommend it. You could either follow me on Instagram or on Facebook. You're going to see the same content on both platforms. So if you have a preference, either Facebook or Instagram, I would recommend that you follow me there. I can put those links down in the description box for you, but I'm sharing a lot more on those platforms recently, almost daily, I would say, and you're getting a lot of like little clips and behind the scene things that I don't always have the time to share on YouTube, just like the discount cheese hauls that my husband is bringing home, some garden plans, and just little fun clips from around the homestead. So if you're interested in that, I would definitely say you should follow me there. The very last thing I did was pull out a loaf of bread, another thing of ham steaks, and 2 1-pound things of breakfast sausage. We're going to be making some breakfast burritos in the next couple of days. We're going to do ham, and we're also going to do breakfast sausage. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic day.